If someone in our group gives just the slightest distortion, I usually try to give a little bit of a correction just because it just sort of reorientates you. So you're like, you're a aeroplane flying from Melbourne to Sydney and you're constantly just going off a little bit off course. So that's what we're like. We just sort of got to be steered a little bit. So I used to say to her, it's not about working on yourself. It's about understanding and coming to first of all, really trying to understand what the course is teaching us, becoming really clear about the metaphysics of the course. So we have to understand what all the words mean, how to understand them in a context. So there is a period where we really listen to teachers that, really give the metaphysics. I don't really spend a lot of time doing a deep introspection of the metaphysics because there's enough teachers doing that. There's Ken Wapnick and Gary Renard. There's teachers there that are constantly really sharing about the metaphysics. So I think we all play our part, and I do touch on it. But there's also part of the course is the forgiveness, the application of forgiveness. So when Kay was here with me, it just reminded me of a real clarification. So when she said this morning, she said she's having these electric, what's ECT stand for?
Electroconvulsive therapy.
Okay, so look, there's nothing wrong with anything. What happens is we give permission in ourselves for something to work or not work. That's the way the mind works. Who's in our course group, she said that she was going to have this operation. She had a bladder problem and she went to hospital and they said, look, there's very little chance of this operation helping. But she just decided, actually it wasn't an operation, I think it was some sort of treatment. She said, I just said I'm having the miracle because there's a part of disappearance of the universe where we can give the form permission for healing. So we can give something in the world permission because we're so scared of the miracle. We're so scared of a spontaneous healing, just being completely healed straight away of something. Then we can give them permission over, and that's sort of like a gentler way. So there might be some part of Kathy's mind that's getting permission for the ECT to work, because she said this morning she was feeling a little bit more peaceful, and she's not doing a courses lessons anymore for a while. And I said to her, why don't you just give up the course? Why don't you just let it go for a while? Because it can be used in the wrong way. It can be used that I have to do this, I have to, it's done, it's sort of like, it has to be, the course is teaching us that we need do nothing because we're already the Holy Son of God. We're already perfect, whole and complete. That's the message. So when we do the course, we're reading a message that's telling us that we're already whole and complete. So this working on myself, this idea, we have to really notice our language. And I noticed that with Kathy, she said, I'm really working hard on myself. And that's not it, because there's no self to work on. And we have to, there is a commitment and a dedication that we need to work to do. We need to be dedicated to choose against the ego thoughts. And to choose against them is to allow in this teaching that I need do nothing to be my holy self. I'm this holy self now. So it's sort of like it's like a paradoxical teaching. You're going to a teaching to tell you that you're already whole and complete. So you're going somewhere because you don't think you're whole and complete. You think there's something to do, but the message is not what it is. It's not telling you to do something. It's telling you, hey, you already are that. So it's a paradox of thinking that there's something, that's thinking that there's something to get, but it's undoing. The Course is about undoing the idea that you have to do anything to be special or get God's love. So it's a constant paradox when we come to the Course, because it's telling us that we never left our home, and yet here we are, seemingly left in a world. So it's sort of funny, because I had this feeling when Kathy was with me that she needed to give up the Course because it was being used against her rather than for her. Sometimes there is that phase where we're actually not, it's not helpful because we're not actually getting the message. While we still desire for the world, for something in the world, while we're still seeking in the world, that's what actually the Course's message is, to give up seeking in the world. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think Kathy has been dedicated. She's been doing the lessons and doing everything, and the Holy Spirit is in charge of her undoing. But I really felt sometimes there is a moment where, because it says forget this Course, that is part of the teaching, to forget it. If it's not working for you, if you're in the ego and you can mouth, you can do, and you can mouth, and you can join groups, and you can mouth everything. But if your heart, your strong desire is not for the peace of God, it's for happiness, somehow this group's going to make me happy, or something the group says is going to make me happy, there's still this idea that something in the world's going to make us happy. I join a group, I'm going to come together in a community, and that's going to make me happy. It's still not true forgiveness. So this is important to notice. It's just really beautiful. I felt, a yes when she said, I'm just going to stop the Course. But it's not about the Course. It's about just coming in this moment to be free. That's it. It's just coming to now in this moment, with an empty mind, empty of past and future. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk. It sort of talking with her prompted this little sort of talk to see how nothing's ever going wrong. Just because you are decide to put the Course down for a little while or stop doing it doesn't mean it's going, because the Holy Spirit's always in your mind. He's going to use everything to get the message through. Thank you for your sharing and your prayer. So it's really just the calling of the heart, Holy Spirit. I give this upset to you about my mum. Help me with the words if I need words. But really I need to undo. Help me see any desires I have other than for the peace of God. So when sometimes we can notice that we desire our mother or father to be different, and in that desire it shifts us away from peace. So if we have any other desire in our mind for anything else, we can't have peace because we're in a desire state. So we're desiring someone to change and or be understood. So I lived with my mum for 18 months. This is the things that helped me I had a situation where my mother loved, first of all, she had the TV on quite a lot, and I became okay that the TV was on, but I also had a bedroom where I could go where it was quiet. So I had the option, and I just became defenceless against the TV. So true communication, the way I see it is, so I'll just give a couple of analogies because I had the same thing as a TV on, and I had a bedroom where I didn't hear the TV. So, if the TV was loud, I just said, is it possible to turn the TV down? And yeah, just make time to go outside, put your warm clothes on, go outside. It's important to have silence. The other thing is that my mum really liked watching cooking shows. And so in the afternoon, there would probably be about 3 or 4 cooking shows in a row. And maybe they started about, 2 o'clock. And she would watch them. And she always wanted me to come in and watch them with her. And she wanted to discuss the recipes and different things. And initially I could feel some resistance to it because I eat very simply. I pretty much eat the same food over and over. I don't have these great recipes I make. I just don't have, it's just sort of like not something I feel attracted to. And so I asked for guidance about it, and it said, sit with your mum and join her and just have no defences about it. So I just sat with her and just joined her and talked about it. And she's like, oh, well, we could do this and we could do that. And look, you could cook this and you could cook that and you could make this. And I just sat there and I just said, yeah, I could. Because I could, but I wasn't going to say I'm not interested in it, but I just sat there. I just allowed her to talk to me about it, and really just felt a lot of love towards her as she talked about what she liked with these cooking shows. So I noticed that each day as I sat there and I watched the cooking shows with her, she became less and less talking to me about you could do this, you could do that, and then it just sort of went more and more into just watching it together. And then about a week later, I noticed that she just sort of stopped watching them. She just sort of, maybe, I think she started sort of maybe just watching one, which was sort of half an hour. Now, I don't know what it was about, but maybe there was something in her mind that wanted me to see it, wanted me to get excited, wanted to see what I would think. And I was just happy to say, oh, yeah, that looks nice, that looks interesting, yeah, that would be very tasty, wouldn't it, Mum? And just talking with her about it. But she had no, I think she's a bit of a foodie, and I think she wanted to make them, but she wasn't able to. And I said to her a few times, oh, would you like me to make you that recipe? And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. So eventually what happened was the reason why she wanted to watch it with me sort of fell away in her mind. It just effortlessly sort of fell away. So it's a little bit along the line if our brother asks us to do something outrageous, which is, it's not going to be outrageous, really. But when we're really in the ego, it's going to seem outrageous. You just do it. Just join it. And it just seems to effortlessly fall away. And then after a while, she would just watch a little couple of the shows and I'd be walking through. So also what happened was my mum started to all of a sudden feel, because I was there and I love gardening. I like gardening. She had this thing where she was sitting outside and she would redesign the whole garden, and she'd talk to me, what about if we put a fountain here and this here and pave this? And so it was very grand designs for this, this shabby little garden that she had. I'd actually redone her whole garden a few years before that, but it was made very low maintenance. So I'd put in a lot of natives, made it so that it was weed-free, maintenance-free mainly. And so her mind sort of said, oh, my daughter's living here, she doesn't seem to be working. I'll get her to do this stuff. So I also then, what came through was the guidance came through. See, these things can trigger sort of defensiveness in the ego because it thinks, oh, how dare she, rah, rah, rah. But when you're listening to the spirit, you get his guidance, and it can be different in each situation. So what happened there was I was guided to give her 2 afternoons a week to work in the garden. And so I said to her, look, Mum, on a Wednesday and a Friday afternoon, from midday till, say, 4 o'clock, I'll work in the garden for you. So it then meant that she could relax knowing that was going to happen. And so when she talked about big major plans to it, I would say to her, I just, would follow my guidance and just say to her, look, when she was talking about these big major things, I said to her, I just think the garden's really pretty the way it is. It's really effortless. It's easy to look at. It's just a really simple garden, and it'd be really nice to leave it like this. So because what I could see was the more she put in, the more work it would be for her, and she was getting older and less able to move around and maintain it. And she was coming up with some amazing elaborate plans. So there was no defensiveness, but there was something that just sort of reminded her to keep it simple, just to the simplicity of it. And if she wanted some flowers, just maybe put some pots of flowers around. So I still do my mum's gardening. I still go up there every so often. I haven't been for a while now, but still go up there, and I spend a weekend out in the garden, weeding, and she'll potter around with me and buy things. She'll get some plants. So there's just being helpful. She loves to look at the garden. She can't do it anymore. And so it's just being helpful. So one of the other things that I noticed with my mum was when I said to her, when we were watching TV together at night, I'd sometimes sit in with her and watch TV with her. Some nights I'd say to her, oh, Mum, I'm just going to go into my bedroom, into quietness. And initially she got a little bit like she was doing something wrong. You know what it's like. It's like, oh, it's the ego blames itself. So one time she said, oh, well, if you want to sit in here, I can get some headphones on for the TV and whatever. And I said, no, it's fine, Mum. It's okay. I just like being in the bedroom. I had a really big room. I was able to have like an office and a workshop and an art table and everything, and a big bed. So it was like a double bedroom. So there was plenty of room. But having said that, I always made time for my inner journey, the silence that I needed, the quiet time. I'd go for walks, long walks. I'd go and I'd go to the botanic gardens, walk around there, sit by the lake, go out for coffee, spend time with her, but always make sure that I had my own inner quietness. And I didn't compromise on that. There's no people pleasing in this, okay? This is our journey, so this has to be given a priority. So this is something that I did with them when Kev came out here, and we've both agreed that we had both lived on our own for quite a long time. We'd both sort of had about 4 years, pretty much. I'd had a friend stay with me for a year, but I'd had many years on my own, living on my own. So we both said that we needed our quiet time. And so we agreed that there was going to be no people pleasing. If we needed time, we would take it. We'd just tell each other, hey, I'm going for a walk, or I'm going here. So we spend time together, but we spend a lot of time on our own, apart, doing whatever we do. And we've never had to discuss it again. No one's ever been upset because we just take whatever we need to take. Sometimes I go for walks with him, sometimes I go on my own, sometimes he takes off on his own. There's no thought about it. We just do what we need to do. It's just, okay, I'll do this and he does that. And there's just no thought. Neither of us has a thought that somebody else should be changing or different or including or not including. It's just always perfect. It seemed always the perfect way, whatever's happening. So this is sort of the practical application of the course, is just allow everything to be as it is. And that teaching is really allowing everyone to be their holy self. So, okay, who else would like to share? When you ask someone if they're able to turn the television down, it could be interpreted as defensiveness. But nothing is as it seems. You can ask someone to turn it down just because, it's your preference. It's just like saying, oh, could you make my cup of coffee with 1 sugar? They don't have to. They can put 2 sugars in, and then you've got a chance to drink it or throw it out, and there's your defencelessness again. There's nothing wrong with asking, having some preferences. There's nothing wrong as long as they're not attached. So I think for me, this teaching around preferences was a really good thing that came in for me, because first of all, I started to believe that all preferences were wrong, that you shouldn't have any preferences. Because I was listening to a teacher that was talking about being free of preferences, but I had this sort of aha moment where the Spirit says, forget about that. You're always going to have some preferences, and they mean nothing. They don't make them into a big deal. Everyone has a preference, but the most important thing is to not be attached to them. Okay, so that reorientates that teaching into being helpful. But you might sort of say to yourself, and this is maybe something for Sarah if she was here, is why am I scared to ask, could you turn the TV down? What's behind that? Because a lot of the time we have an idea that either I'll be misunderstood, they'll react angrily, they'll feel attacked. So we have to say, what is stopping me from just simply asking, could you please, is it possible to turn the TV down? So it's sort of like, it's not what you say, it's what is happening behind the scenes, right? So you might be somebody that's always asking everyone to change, oh, can you turn that TV down, it's too loud. So your job might be to pull back and practice not asking. And if you're the sort of person that never asks, never says anything, then it might be your journey is to speak it out and hear yourself asking, but unattached to outcomes. But you will find if you just say it openly, hey, is it possible, I'm in the bedroom, it's quite loud. What level do you need the volume on to be able to hear it? Because they might, when people live on their own, they just maybe have it up quite loud without even knowing. And yes, I've had relationships with men in the past that just get up and flick the TV on first thing in the morning, and it's like a background noise. And I did ask, I said to this person, I said, oh, why do you put the TV on? Because you're sort of like you're not watching it. And he said, oh, when I live on my own, I feel like it's company. So that was interesting. And that was fine. But I said to him, well, I actually don't. I just prefer to have it off. Are you okay if we have it off while you're at my place? And he said yes. This was a relationship from about 6-7 years ago, or maybe longer. And that was just a preference at the time. But the reason why I'm going to call it speaking up, but it's not speaking up in ego, because the ego can be like, I've got to speak up, I've got to be heard, I've got to be this. And it's not in that vein. It's coming from fear of speaking up. So it's like, why is it that I can't say something? So it's not about having to say it or be heard or anything. It's simply okay to ask. It's simply okay just to speak up with love and concern. It's true communication with our brother. You know, like, say, for example, when people used to come here to the group, the people across the road didn't like cars parking on their nature strip. So that was simply, hey, are you able to not park on the nature strip over the road? People over there don't like it. It's simply, there's the ego mind sort of says, oh, if I ask my brother for anything, they'll get angry. They'll get, you know. So we're scared in those moments when we don't speak, don't just simply communicate normal things. We have a fear of their reaction. That's why we don't speak up. We're fearful of their reaction. So what we have to do is we have to look at the reaction and say, can I be okay if my brother gets angry? Can I be okay? Because what am I scared about when someone gets angry? What is anger? Let's break it down. Anger is just a loud voice, maybe your face scrunched up. But I cannot be attacked by anger. I cannot be hurt by something someone says with a loud voice. I cannot be hurt or touched or affected by words and a voice coming out, or a scrunched up, or something changing in the body, or some words coming out of their mouth. They simply cannot affect me. Anger, someone getting angry by something I asked, even if I said to my mum, oh, is it possible you turn down, in a really open, loving way, and she gets upset. That's not my problem. I'm not communicating to people please. And if you actually really communicate in a really clear way, I don't think I've ever had anyone. Actually, I've had that incident with my brother, my younger brother, who I was really calling him out about truth and love, and he got up and he had his fists like this in front of me, and I said to him, "You're welcome to hit me if you want. You know, you're welcome, because this is about love. This is about you being love and me being love." And there was something that was really energetic about him in that moment. He was so, I can't remember it. I think I did a talk about it years ago when it was, and all I remember is him standing in front of me with his fist, and he's a big guy. And I was completely defenceless, because I knew in that moment that the Spirit had me energetically really telling him about love, about how we're loved, and he's love, and so is our dad. He was really angry with my dad about something, and he was defending something, but I was coming from this truth. Anyway, everything went in that moment. So it's not what you're doing, it's what's behind what you're doing. Look, am I fearful of something? If I can't simply ask for something, am I fearful? Am I trying to approach it to get them to respond in a certain way? Well, we have to look, can I allow them to respond any way they like? But it's the speaking up of it, just truly clearly speaking, if you need to. So you see, it's not like one glove fits all. You'll be guided at times not to ask, and you'll be guided at other times to ask. it's all about undoing stuff in your mind. It's never about getting anyone to do anything or getting an outcome in the world. It's about saying something or not saying it. So I've had the Holy Spirit's given me two sides of each coin, of every teaching. Don't speak, speak. Don't speak, speak. Constantly showing me it's not about that. Allowing the TV up, allowing the TV noise to be really loud, going beyond it, saying, see, a noise can't affect you. Can you be peaceful with this noise? Yes, I can. But my preference is for it to be off or quiet or remove myself. So it was never the same thing in each day. It was always a combination of things. So if I had to be in the room and it was a loud TV, I would practice allowing it, being unaffected, being defenceless. If my mum wanted me to watch lots of TV shows, cooking shows with her, yeah, okay. Because this is the practice of defencelessness. And when you're defenceless, it's like, you're happy, you're peaceful. So this is a practical application of forgiveness. Just being okay with everything how it is. And, so even if... So I just want to be really clear, because it's sort of funny. It's so easy to think that if you ask someone to turn down the TV, that you've got an attachment. And so if I was with someone and I said, oh, is it possible for you to turn it down? And they said, no, I like it up this loud. Then that's it. You become unattached. You can either sit there and just allow it, or you can leave and just go and sit out, in the bush and sit in the quietness or the mountains or whatever, like you were saying, Annie. Now, if you can't leave, if you're in that room and there's no way you can leave, you practice forgiveness. We're all going to have little preferences, but we have to also practice going beyond all preferences. So that's really the teaching. It's okay to have a preference, but really your practice should be that you have no preference, if that makes sense. So it sounds paradoxical, but that's the teaching. Who else would like to speak?
I don't really know where to begin, because I feel like my mind's all over the place. You'll be happy to know that I woke up in time this morning to join that other group that I was trying to join 2 days in a row. And it was wonderful. It's obviously going to be shared. It was, recorded. It was a Q&A with Foundation FIP with Bob Rosenthal, Judy Scutch and her daughter Tamara, and it was about, hearing the voice for God. It was really good. So but just to go back to what you were just saying then, Kate, about, I don't really know exactly what I'm trying to say, but one thing I'm noticing is, like, even though, particularly I think maybe the last 3 or 4 days, I have absolutely, totally immersed myself. I have just been flooded with Course truth so beautifully. It's just been like, I don't know, just like a warm blanket all the time. It's just been just soaking in, just making so much sense, making me feel good, like just peaceful and content and all that. And that's been so beautiful. it's really interesting because it's clearly, I know, you know, obviously I've still got lots of work to do. And this morning I'm thinking like what I was trying to say is, you know, even amongst the chaos that I'm surrounded with right now, and, you know, like I went over to my mum's yesterday and cleaned her house for her, and I was able to be, I took Holy Spirit with me. You know, I was determined that I was, just because I was going out of my bubble here that I've been in, no, I can take this with me, you know, and I did. And there were different things, you know, like we're all talking about how we can get irritated by our mums and what have you. And that was going on, but I was able to be okay with it and just, yeah, that's fine. However, now this morning I'm feeling like, oh, okay, how come all of a sudden I'm losing a bit of that beautiful feeling? And it's like there's still this, it's just this yucky feeling. And it's because there's, and I've talked about this lots of times, there's this financial stuff that goes on in that I'm not properly dealing with. And it's like, it's interesting about how, you know, Holy Spirit gives us what we need. It is all about timing and readiness, and sometimes we're not given the guidance that we want then and there because for some reason we're not meant to get it. You know, it's like I feel like I'm meant to be feeling this discomfort and unease for a reason. You know, it's like I think it's about being okay with feeling like that. You know, it's like, okay, I've got to be okay with feeling like I'm not as knowledgeable as others. I've got to be okay with not knowing the best course of action to take. I've got to be okay with being defenseless in spite of the ego's laws of money, of monetary laws. And I've got to be okay with reaching out and asking these seemingly difficult questions. And so I really think that's why I'm still with this. It's because there's lessons to be learned here, and it's about not thinking that, oh, you know, you're in tune with the Holy Spirit, everything's going to be a cinch, and you just have to ask and you'll receive, and, you know, you'll be guided. It's not about that. And so, and it's also, I think I've got to learn and realise that I have to feel what I'm feeling and acknowledge that to Holy Spirit and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what I've got to do with this. I want to share it with you, Holy Spirit. But, you know, and I've got to trust and have faith that Holy Spirit understands that, and He is going to guide me when the time is right. When I've learnt what I am to learn, when I've learnt to give up the attachment to it, when I've learnt to give up the belief, I suppose, that the attachment in the belief that I have these things going on. So, and until I'm really ready to accept that whatever's happening, whether it appears good or bad, it's okay, and it can just keep happening. I don't have to do anything about it. I think that's the thing. I guess I'm still trying to sort these things out, and that's what Holy Spirit's saying. No, you're still trying to do it yourself until you can totally let it go and just lay it on the altar and say, here it all is. You tell me what to do, and not sort of, okay, well, Holy Spirit, I've got to do this, so, I'm driving, you just tell me which way to go. And he's saying, no, you've got to let go of the steering wheel altogether. I'll tell you which way to go, but I am going to take you. You don't have to do it yourself. And I'm still hanging on to that. And I love what you were talking about, preferences. I really understand all about that now. And how you said, it's interesting because I have an auntie that will often ring me and she'll say, oh, now what are you having for dinner? She'll say what she's going to cook for dinner tonight and what are you going to cook? And it's like, oh, okay, I've got to come up with a recipe. And it's like, no, you don't. Let it go. Because I eat so simple. I hardly ever follow a recipe. I just look at what I've got and just, and I eat the same old stuff day in and day out. And I love it. And it's simple. It's like, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to be thinking, oh, have I got the right ingredients? And so I'm really happy with that. So if I'm really happy with that, then why do I have to pretend to other people that I'm making up some sort of a recipe? I don't have to, So I've got to let that go and just be happy with being able to say, oh, actually, I'm just going to have a bowl of mashed potato. On its own, simple. I love potatoes. Actually, they call me Spud, that family, because... so, what else? Holy Spirit, I just ask that I know you heard everything I just shared, and you know where I'm at, and I trust your guidance. I trust you. I'm willing, so willing to have you guide me when and if, whatever, it's all up to you. I want to remember to ask for your help. I want to remember to just relax, be still and quiet and listen and notice and just keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Thank you so much, everyone, and I'm so grateful, so incredibly grateful for this course and for everyone. Amen.
Thanks, Robin. And it was good that you remembered to, when you move away out of the peace and you wake up and you just to feel it and not try to pull away from it. Sometimes just allowing the feelings, just allowing them, they just shift, they move. Other times there's a little bit more noticing something's coming up, some fear or something. Just to remember that we eventually, on our journey, we have to face the fear of death, and that will come up in some way in the right time. And so, anyway, I just felt to mention that, and that's just going to be presented to you when you're ready, not a minute before, not a minute after. And just in regard to what I said about the fear of death, the Holy Spirit's with us. He's wonderful, you know. The Holy Spirit is just the most beautiful helper, just the presence of love of God, and our holy guide leading us home. So it's beautiful. We're so lucky to have a holy guide in our mind. One of the things I noticed when said was she was getting this deeper understanding. It's really hard to put into words. I felt like I was getting this download. It actually happened in like a second. This full download. It just came in really quickly. But prior to that, there was a lot coming in, a lot of realizations, and actually got a lot of. It's really nice when the light comes in like that. It's sort of funny because, yeah, the sun is there. I really like it. It's sort of like, yeah, I'm lighting up. What was I going to say about? Oh, yeah. So with the lessons, one of the things I noticed in that moment were the lessons of the Course sort of came into my mind, and I saw how they all went together. They were sort of all got, like one went into another, because now I see the whole Course differently, because I can see what he's saying, this theme, then he moves under that, and I see how they're all joined up. But initially when I did the lessons, it was like, what's this? And it all seemed all separate. So it's a little bit like our mind, separation and stuff. So where we're at, you know, it all works together to help us. But so, you know, applying the daily lesson, Nikki, there's nothing, how can I say it? There's no right or wrong way to do the Course. You know, there's a million different ways. The message is, you know, just a constant message over and over again in every lesson. You know, it's got really, sometimes the whole message is in every lesson. You know, I used to remember years ago people used to say, oh, if you can get one lesson, you've got the whole Course. And I was flabbergasted by that, because I'm like, well, I'm not getting any of them. Like, I can't see, like, this one lesson. Like, how could the whole Course be in this lesson? And, you know, it is and it isn't. It's the message is there, but, you know, we just need the Course. We just need it, and it's going to come to us in the right time, the right place. He says it's already done. We've already gone through it. We're going again. You know, we can just relax. Really, it's just about relaxing. There's not just relaxing into it. Just, yeah, I think it's not about working hard work. It's not meant to be really, really hard work. It's really just a everyday, okay, Holy Spirit, you be in charge. Just going to repeat the lesson for today. Do what you ask me to do. That's not hard work. That's just diligent. That's just sort of commitment. It's really like, you know, if you go to cook a meal, it's not hard work. It's just putting a few ingredients together and throwing them in a bowl and eating it. Nothing is meant to be hard work. It's meant to just be a gentle undoing, and it happens when it happens. But really, everything will be used. There's no special part of the Course, right? We have to give up this idea that there's a special way to do it, and there's a special part of the Course, and we've got to do it in this particular way to get it, and that, you know, that you've got to be doing it perfectly or anything, because no one's ever going to do the course perfectly. You're going to, you really, as I keep saying, it's really your desire for the peace of God that matters more than anything else. That's the main key. That's the key to the whole course. And then noticing where you have any other desires. So if you have desire for peace, you will practice defenselessness, because that, he says, that's an obstacle to peace. Being defensive. So, and defensiveness comes from when you have a desire. So they all work together. See, that's how you see all the stuff about what desire I have. You'll notice that when you get defensive, and you start to see all the teachings of the course all work together. That's what they do. They all join together. They all show you. They're all saying the same thing. They're just taking an application of something that's helping with this. So you say, okay, when I want the peace of God, I must have, if I don't have peace, I've got another desire. I've got a belief. So if I've got a desire, I have to have a belief. I have to have a judgment, right? And in that, I have to be defensive. So that's why he's showing us aspects of it, that it's all showing us how we are, how the mind is, because it's all happening in my mind. So all I need to do is call on the Holy Spirit, no matter what it is. Holy Spirit, here it is, help me understand this differently, bring me a realisation, bring me an experience, bring me whatever I need. And the thing is, I was talking to yesterday, it's such an important point. We don't know how it's going to get undone, because how something comes in to correct our perception is totally different to what we think. He doesn't see the problem. He doesn't think, we think we've got a problem. The answer's not in the ego's world. So if we think we've got lack of money, the Holy Spirit doesn't say, okay, go get a job and I'll do this, this and this. He doesn't answer the problem the way the ego does. It's a different answer. It's an answer. I remember one time I was worried about money and food and everything, and I got guided, turn around and look in the pantry. And I looked and I saw I had 3 months worth of food in my pantry. And he said, you've got stuff today. You only need to worry about today. Have I got food for today? There it is. It's 3 months worth of food. You know, I couldn't see it. I was in my mind, past and future. So that's what. So the Holy Spirit's answer. He doesn't, when you say, oh, I haven't got a job, how am I going to get money? What about the future? He doesn't go, okay, well, he actually, even when he's saying that, he might get you to ring someone and you might get a job, but it's not what you think it is. It's not, because I have had jobs given to me, but they've been for two things. There've been things that I've needed to heal, so he's given me jobs so he could show me where I'm still holding something in my mind that I didn't know I had. So in that last job, I had to have the angry boss, because he said to me, you haven't fully undone the belief in anger, that you can be hurt by anger. He said, I'm giving you the angriest boss you could ever meet. And believe me, he was. But he said to me, that's why you're here. And that's why he's yelling at you right now, because you have to face this, right? So, yeah, there's some money came in from that job. It wasn't about the money. It was about me being in there to get the lesson. Because if I want the peace of God, the Holy Spirit knows what I need for it. So I'm going to get the job for the undoing of anything that's still in my mind. So if I have a fear of angry men, which I had, right? I had a big fear of angry men, and I tiptoed around them, and I didn't, I'd do anything to be away from angry men, angry women as well, but there wasn't any angry women in my life. So he put me constantly in situations where there was angry men, and as I said, why? because he knows what I need to, he knows what belief I'm holding. Now, I at that time thought I had completely undone it. And initially, I think I've told that story, I went into fear. And then he showed me these amazing things to help shift my perception. He said, think of him as an opera singer singing to you. Think of him singing in Latin to you. And it was amazing. I just got this really, 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 really deep undoing. And since that time, since that situation, I can't find anger anywhere. I don't see anyone angry. Anger is something that is out of my awareness. It wouldn't matter even if someone said to me one day, my brother was screaming and my mum said, stop being so angry. And I went, oh my God, he's angry. But I wasn't. I was like talking to him, yeah, joyfully, yeah, what about this? And because I couldn't see anger because it got undone in that moment. And that's why I needed to go to that job to get that lesson. It had to be in my face because the spirit was like, right, I'm going to flush this out for good. So our whole life is about our forgiveness lessons. They're going to come. The lesson's going to come to you. So don't go, oh God, oh the spirit led me to this job and I don't know why I'm here. I've got an angry boss. It all seems to be going wrong. No, you're being led everywhere to undo. So that's the thing. It's not about, the spirit's not taking you places for happy, joyful love. No, he's going to show you anything, everywhere for your undoing. That's it. It's once you see that, like Lee when she was at the beach yesterday and the police or the security guard, great, there's my lesson. Oh my God, look, I've got something coming up. Right, thanks, Holy Spirit. I didn't even know I had this fear about this, that. Great, I can be free of it. So it's welcoming the lessons. You know, bring it on. Bring on the lessons, because when I go past them, I'm free. So bring them on. You know, this is really how we want to be. Bring on all the angry people. Bring it on, because if you can be anywhere, anytime with all the different characters in the dream doing all their different things, and you can be peaceful, you're free. You're free. So that's what we want to do. We want to go everywhere and we want to go, oh, am I triggered by this? Oh, am I triggered by that? Oh, no, great. Oh, here's this. No trigger. Oh, here's my mum. Put the music, put the TV up loud. No trigger. Yay. Oh, now she's asking me to do this. No trigger. Yay. So it's like, great. Bring on the lessons. Bring on the triggers.
I just sort of wanted to say I'm really loving how everything here is really mirroring what's going on in my mind and what's happening. Because I literally, you know, this thing about working for it, it didn't come up as that, but I literally got something come into my mind this morning about this, because I'd had a session with someone and she'd given me some little exercises to do. And one of them I haven't been doing. And as I was doing the one I was given this morning, thoughts about not doing this one, which was an idea of like sitting down and just saying, I love you, God. I love you, God. And keep saying that sort of thing until, you know, well, even if I don't feel or whatever. And I realized I had started doing it and I hadn't do it. But as I was thinking about, I'm not doing that, it just really, and Nikki, you know, it was like I'm starting to get a few little thoughts coming and feel that, you know how you always talk about the gentleness, like a gentle voice sort of thing. I'm getting that little sense of this gentleness sort of coming in, and the voice was basically saying, it's okay, you know, it's okay, everything's gonna just be, it's all getting handled in its own time. Just keep just doing what you're doing. You don't have to like work at it or anything. And And I was going to mention this too, yesterday, because it came up in my mind too, because it might seem we come together and you do what have you, and then you go off into whatever you're doing sort of thing. And there was that sense of reminding, again, it's a kind of a bit like, because the ego's version of vigilance is like, like, be really vigilant, and it's sort of hard almost. Whereas this is no, it's like you're vigilant and we're doing our practice, and then it's almost like letting that all go for a moment, and then it's like a period of integration. So you're just sort of forgetting about it and going about your business for a moment sort of thing. And yes, something might come up in the next moment. And another thing too, like Robin, about you saying feeling, again, I was noticing it last night because, it's like, oh, hang on, there's that feeling. Drop into it, because immediately, the mind can sort of go to, oh, what am I thinking? What have I got to do about this? And it's like, no, just drop into it. Let it be. There it is, again, because, we're really trained in the ego to bounce off it too, to move away from it. So it's like, no, just there it is. There you are, So it's really wild, like everything everyone's speaking about, like literally the same sort of things have been, being addressed in my mind over the last, 10, 12 hours or 24 hours that we've been together. And another thing sort of that came up too was about like this idea of relationships, because I was with this girl yesterday I haven't seen for 18 years, and she was asking me something about relationships and what sort of like relationship I was in with someone. And I have sort of stopped and looked at it, because we have all these definitions of relationships, and I looked at it and I went, it's a healing relationship. All my relationships are healing relationship. My relationship with you now is a healing relationship. My relationship with a shopkeeper I walk into and they're on the phone for an hour while I'm waiting, talking to their friend about whatever, and I'm waiting for some sort of service, and that's a healing relationship. Like, it's showing me, oh, well, I expect the shopkeeper to actually attend to me instead of their friend, I have a desire other than peace, in that they're all healing relationships. There's no, it's this relationship or that. They're all healing relationships.
It's very easy for the ego to think, well, I'll be all lovey-dovey and I'll get my way. So I'm just going to say something here, and it might not be appropriate, but I'm just feeling really guided to say it. So has been asking her flatmate above her to quieten down, and it always feels like it sort of says, oh, I'm doing it with love, but actually the way I perceive it is that it's not really coming from love. It's like a demand that my brother change. And I'm going to spiritualize this. I'm going to look like, I'm going to pretend, I'm going to write this loving note out, and I'm going to hoodwink myself that this is spirituality because I'm really coming from love. But only you can know. Only you can really, this is where this sort of radical honesty comes in. And when you're practicing the Course, it doesn't matter what you do or how you do it. You can sugarcoat it and you can pretend as much as you like that, and justify and pretend that yes, I was in love, I went up with a loving attitude, I asked the Holy Spirit to be with me. But deep down, you've got deep hatred, and you're like, just fuck off, will you? Just fuck off out of my life, I want you gone. Like, just be honest. Just be honest. Like, that's the best thing the Holy Spirit said to me. Don't sugarcoat it. You fucking hate your neighbour, right? Don't pretend you don't. You do. The only way I'm going to have any ability to heal your mind is for you to see your hatred. So there's one of those cameos where Jesus says, you have no idea how much you hate each other. So stop trying to justify and pretend that I'm on this la-di-da. Just forget about being spiritual, because that's just like a stupid even thing to even try to be, right? If you're in the ego, you hate everyone. Just be honest about it. And it's just this great freedom that comes from this, is why I talk about the ego's hatred. Now, it's not true, but you have to get to that hatred to go beyond it. Because what's happening is we want the face of innocence. You know, they'll come to me and say, you know, she's at it again, she's doing this and that. And I was so loving, you know, I went up and lovingly knocked on her door and lovingly said this, but that's all bullshit, right? I'm not, and I'm going to talk about, and please don't, you know, it's not about, because I did it. I did this too, but for some reason this is just really clear in my mind, that it's so easy for us to put spirituality over where we don't look at our inner hatred, and it doesn't get resolved. The situation never gets resolved because we're hiding the deep hatred and we're trying to look nice. So we have to forget about all that. So in your situation, I think what you're saying was that it might have been helpful, this talking with this teacher, and you were able to, and you saw, now if you're seeing Hugo and him, obviously he's got, if he's really aligned with love, he should be quite defenseless. He should be sort of quite, you know, open, discussing, honest, really, just really laying it out, and talking about his own way. You know, I like to share stories about my journey because it's really helpful to others too. So we have to understand that in this world, you can't sugarcoat anything in this world, in the ego's thought system and in the world that we're projected. It's a shitstorm, right? Nothing will ever work here, and the ego's thought system never works. It's a hijacked mind. So any situation you find yourself in, Mike, it can be helpful. And maybe sometimes we have to get to the hatred. So maybe when you said, I reached that real rage towards him, that's really good, because the ego really doesn't want you to see this deep hatred, because if it did, you'd want to work a way out to shift away from that, right? So it hides this hatred. That's why Jesus says it's the hidden hatred, because we're trying to hide our pure hatred for ourselves and others. And yesterday I talked about how it circles around. I hate you, I hate me, you're to blame, no, I'm to blame. And we have to see it, we have to get in touch with it, not to be in it for us to go into darkness, but to bring it to the light, for the Holy Spirit to shine it away. But we have to admit that we hate, that we have these murderous thoughts, because we're in the ego, and that's the whole basis. It's a thought system based on hatred and murder. It wants to murder. It wants to kill. It wants to stab and maim. It does. That's its thought system. And it's really, and the only way to be free of it is to bring it up. So it sounds like, for you, Michael, that it brought it up. So when we get to that stage, it's so interesting, because when I finally allowed myself to be okay with feeling hatred towards, you know, not only my dad, I noticed, oh my God, I hate everyone. I hate everyone. And when I admitted that, for some reason, it just went. It just lifted off. In the moment I said I hate everyone, it was gone. And I went, actually, that's the key to admitting it. Because the ego says you have to hide it to look nice and be spiritual. So it's not about getting your way, ever. It's about undoing that you need to get your way. And all these things, as I said, those things work together for good. So I think that what happened for you, Mike, in that situation, the Spirit is guiding you. It's going to use anything. Now, there's some teachers that, you know, say that you should speak out this egoic hatred to get it out. I'm not a subscriber of that. I don't think you need to do that. But, you know, whatever's helpful for you, the Course just says bring everything to the Holy Spirit. Bring everything. So all you have to do is be aware of the hatred, and bring it to the Holy Spirit and say, look, wow, I've got to this hidden hatred. Wow, this is what's really in my mind. Jesus is asking us to look at it. Wow, not to look at it without judgment, I guess you could say, to notice it, to feel it, to have that feelings. Yeah, actually. He does say, I have a murderous rage. Wow, he's so true. That we take it straight to him and it shifts. But don't justify, don't try to spiritualize it. Don't try to act all goody-goody and, yeah, I'm happy-go-lucky and here I am in my love when you're not. That's why you have to have that radical honesty. It's the only way to be free.
You were saying all that hatred disappeared. So it's like there's the admittance of it. But I think that key is self-acceptance. Like it's the non-judgment of it and just the, you know, true self-acceptance. Like, oh, that's the way it is. You know, and there's that tremendous allowance. Like allowance is such a terrific action of mind where it's just, it is as it is and there's room for it to be. And in that, without judgment upon it, a lot of stuff is dissolved.
Yeah, and it's so funny because though that hatred came up so many times on my journey, and every time I got in touch with it, I had the most amazing experiences of a deepening into love. So it's like that's what you've got to get to, and then it just shifts and something more beautiful comes through. So it's really just that whole spiritual thing about getting so you have to do it in a way, I think you have to really center in the truth. You have to sort of know the truth first to bring it so that the light comes to shine it away, you could say. So you feel okay to go to that hatred because you've got enough of the light to shine it away. I wouldn't get someone who's just started the course to try to go to that because they'd go to it as if it was real. You know, oh yeah, I'm this really bad person for hating. You've got to have that's why you develop the trust to go there and have that shone away. Oh yes, actually, I do really love everyone. That's the ego's false. That's the false mind. So, yeah, but it's really, he does say we need to get to the hidden hatreds and secret sins, as that's the way, you know, and it'll come up when it comes up. You don't have to force it. You don't have to sit down and say, right, today I'm going to get to the hatred. It'll come up when it's ready, when it's time. You'll feel it. But you know, trying... The thing about this group is everyone here is really dedicated and no one will stay in this group if you've still got something that you're desiring in the world. You wouldn't turn up here every day because it's too confronting. There's too much sort of dedication to truth here. So if someone else is still desiring something in the world, it's look, it takes a while to really have no compromise, to really constantly just desire God and His love above all else. Really, that's what we're saying. And we're here, God, we're here, Lord, here I am. I mean, we have to look at the ego for what it is. And it's a thought system that convinces us that we're it. And it's not. It's a self-concept. So these things are sort of revealed. It's like what you were saying, the peeling of the onion. And of course, as we peel the onion away, actually there's nothing in the middle. There's nothing left. We disappear into the heart of God, which is just love, and love has no form. So it's just the peeling away of the self-concept. And the idea that I will be nothing is scary to us as the ego. The ego says, oh, that would be awful, but it's just we go back to experience of infinite love. So that's what's so peaceful, just experiencing infinite love. There's nothing to be fearful about love. You're still going to use your body, but it'll just have a different purpose. It won't be to, for all the other things that you think is really important. It's just repurposed. It's like getting a car for a reason and then you use the car for another reason. It's still a car. It's just repurposed. So thanks everyone for today. We'll do our 10-minute